Most people misunderstand where confidence truly comes from. They assume it is something you are either born with or without, as if confidence were a personality trait handed out randomly. In reality, confidence is developed the same way any valuable skill is developed, through consistent practice and daily discipline. It is not created by motivational moments, but by repeated actions that shape character over time. At the center of confidence lies self-trust. And self-trust is built when your actions match your intentions. Every time you make a commitment to yourself and follow through, no matter how small it may seem, you strengthen your belief in your own ability to direct your life. On the other hand, every broken promise weakens that belief. This is why confidence cannot be faked for long. It is rooted in integrity, and integrity is always revealed through behavior. The process begins with small, manageable decisions. Waking up when you said you would, completing a task you planned to do, or dedicating a few focused minutes to improving yourself may seem insignificant in isolation. But these small acts compound over time. They send a powerful message to your mind: you can be trusted. And once you trust yourself, doubt loses its authority. Discipline plays a critical role in this transformation. Discipline is not about restriction, it is about direction. It teaches you to act based on intention rather than emotion. When you learn to do what needs to be done, even when motivation is low, you gain control over your behavior. That control becomes confidence. You no longer rely on external encouragement because your inner standards guide you. Education supports this process by helping individuals understand that progress is incremental, not instant. Confidence grows quietly, often unnoticed, until one day you realize you are no longer afraid of challenges that once intimidated you. This growth does not come from avoiding difficulty, but from meeting it with consistency and patience. As integrity strengthens and discipline becomes habitual, confidence becomes stable rather than situational. It no longer rises and falls based on opinions or circumstances. Instead, it stands on the solid ground of proven effort. You know what you are capable of because you have evidence your past actions. In the end, unstoppable confidence is not the result of dramatic changes, but of simple commitments honored daily. When you align your words with your actions and remain faithful to your own standards, confidence becomes a natural outcome. It is not something you chase. It is something that follows you as a result of who you are becoming. Confidence grows as understanding grows. Much of what people call fear is simply unfamiliarity. When you do not know how something works, the mind fills the gap with doubt and hesitation. But as knowledge increases and skills are developed, uncertainty begins to fade. This is why confidence is closely connected to competence. The more capable you become, the less you depend on reassurance from others. Learning is a lifelong process, and every new skill acquired becomes a pillar supporting self-belief. When you invest time in education, practice, and refinement, you build evidence of your own capability. Confidence does not come from pretending to know. It comes from actually knowing. Preparation replaces anxiety with calmness because you understand what is required and trust your ability to respond. Competence is built through deliberate practice, not casual effort. Repetition strengthens ability, and ability strengthens confidence. When individuals consistently push themselves to improve even slightly, they reduce the gap between who they are and who they want to become. Each improvement reinforces the belief that growth is possible and progress is within reach. This process also teaches patience. True mastery is not achieved overnight. Confidence that lasts is the result of time invested wisely. As skills mature, the fear of being exposed or judged diminishes. You no longer feel the need to prove yourself because your competence speaks quietly but clearly. Education also expands perspective. It helps individuals see challenges not as threats but as problems to be solved. When you understand principles rather than memorizing outcomes, you gain flexibility. You can adapt, adjust, and respond rather than react emotionally. This adaptability is a powerful source of confidence because it assures you that even if circumstances change, you can still function effectively. As competence increases, comparison loses its influence. You stop measuring yourself against others and start measuring yourself against your own potential. This shift is liberating. It allows confidence to grow from within rather than being borrowed from external approval. The focus moves from recognition to contribution. Ultimately, confidence built on competence is stable and grounded. It does not depend on mood or praise. It rests on the quiet assurance that comes from preparation, learning, and continuous improvement. When you commit to becoming better each day, confidence follows naturally. You no longer ask if you are capable. You know you're becoming capable, and that knowledge becomes strength. Confidence takes a decisive turn the moment a person accepts full responsibility for their life. As long as responsibility is placed on circumstances, people, or the past, confidence remains fragile. Blame weakens belief because it hands power away. When individuals choose responsibility instead, they reclaim control over their direction and outcomes. This choice becomes a powerful source of inner strength. Taking responsibility does not mean denying difficulties or pretending challenges do not exist. It means recognizing that while you may not control everything that happens, you always control how you respond. This understanding is educational as well as empowering. It teaches that progress begins internally, not externally. When you stop waiting for conditions to improve and start improving yourself, confidence begins to grow. Responsibility sharpens decision-making. Instead of reacting emotionally, you begin to think deliberately. You evaluate choices, anticipate consequences, and act with intention. Each decision made with awareness reinforces self-belief. Even when mistakes occur, responsibility transforms them into lessons rather than setbacks. Learning from error strengthens confidence because it proves you can recover, adapt, and continue moving forward. This mindset also removes the fear of failure. When you see outcomes as feedback instead of final judgments, fear loses its grip. You no longer avoid action to protect your image. You act to gain experience. Confidence thrives in this environment because growth becomes more important than perfection. Education plays a key role here by helping individuals understand cause and effect. When you see the connection between effort and results, life becomes more predictable. Predictability builds trust, and trust builds confidence. You realize that success is not random. It is influenced by habits, choices, and persistence. Personal responsibility also fosters independence. You stop relying on approval, permission, or validation from others. Your confidence comes from knowing that you are actively shaping your life. This independence does not isolate you. It strengthens your ability to contribute meaningfully without fear of judgment. Over time, responsibility becomes empowering rather than burdensome. It replaces excuses with solutions and helplessness with action. Confidence grows not because life becomes easier, but because you become stronger. When you accept ownership of your choices and commit to learning from every experience, you develop a steady confidence rooted in self-respect. That confidence remains intact regardless of circumstances because it comes from within. Confidence expands when action replaces hesitation. Fear is not a sign of weakness. It is a natural response to growth and uncertainty. Every person who has ever improved their life has felt fear at the edge of change. The difference is not in the presence of fear, but in the decision made in spite of it. Courage is the willingness to move forward while fear is still present. Avoidance strengthens fear, but action weakens it. Each time you step back from discomfort, fear gains influence. Each time you step forward, even imperfectly, confidence grows. Action provides evidence that you are capable of handling more than you think. This evidence is what slowly transforms self-doubt into self-belief. Discomfort is an educational tool. It teaches resilience, adaptability, and emotional control. When you choose to do what is difficult rather than what is easy, you expand your limits. The mind learns that discomfort is temporary, but growth is lasting. This realization builds confidence because you stop interpreting difficulty as danger. Courage is not reckless behavior. It is deliberate progress. It means preparing, thinking clearly, and then acting despite uncertainty. Each courageous action becomes a reference point for future challenges. You remember past fears you overcame, and that memory strengthens your confidence for the next step. Taking action also clarifies direction. Overthinking creates confusion, but movement creates understanding. When you act, you gain feedback. You learn what works and what does not. This learning builds confidence because it replaces imagination with experience. Experience is far more reliable than assumption. As courage becomes habitual, confidence becomes calm. You no longer rush to prove yourself or seek approval. You trust your ability to face challenges as they come. This calm confidence does not depend on perfect outcomes. It depends on your willingness to engage fully with life. Ultimately, confidence built through courage is unshakable because it is earned. It is the result of repeatedly choosing growth over comfort and progress over fear. Each brave step, no matter how small, strengthens belief in yourself. And over time, those steps accumulate into a powerful certainty. You can face what lies ahead, and you will move forward regardless. Confidence is deeply influenced by the environment you allow to shape your thinking. The human mind is constantly absorbing ideas, attitudes, and expectations from its surroundings. Whether intentional or not, these influences gradually mold belief systems. If the environment consistently reinforces doubt, fear, and limitation, confidence struggles to survive. If it encourages growth, discipline, and possibility, confidence strengthens naturally. One of the most educational realizations a person can have is understanding that confidence must be protected. Just as physical health depends on proper nutrition, mental strength depends on what you feed your mind. The words you hear, the conversations you engage in, and the content you consume all leave an impression. Over time, these impressions either expand belief or quietly erode it. Associating with growth-minded individuals elevates confidence because it normalizes effort and improvement. When you are surrounded by people who value learning, responsibility, and progress, your own standards rise. You begin to see challenges as normal steps forward rather than signs of inadequacy. Confidence grows when growth feels expected rather than exceptional. Equally important is the discipline of self-education. Reading, listening, and reflecting on ideas that encourage purpose and personal development strengthens inner belief. Education does more than inform. It conditions the mind to expect improvement. When your mind is regularly exposed to constructive ideas, it becomes harder for negative thoughts to dominate. Language also plays a powerful role. The way you speak to yourself shapes your confidence. Repeated negative self-talk weakens belief, while intentional, honest self-encouragement reinforces it. This is not about unrealistic positivity, but about choosing language that supports effort and learning instead of defeat. A supportive environment does not remove challenges, it equips you to face them. Confidence thrives not because life becomes easier, but because the mind becomes stronger and more prepared. When your surroundings reinforce growth, setbacks feel temporary and progress feels inevitable. Over time, a carefully chosen environment creates internal stability. Confidence no longer depends on mood or circumstance. It is sustained by consistent input, constructive relationships, and disciplined thinking. When you guard what influences your mind and intentionally surround yourself with ideas that inspire progress, confidence becomes a natural reflection of the world you have chosen to live in. Confidence is not built through sudden transformation, but through a series of intentional choices made over time. It grows quietly as discipline is practiced, skills are developed, Responsibility is accepted, courage is exercised, and the mind is shaped by a constructive environment. Each of these elements works together, reinforcing the belief that progress is possible and that challenges can be handled. When actions align with values, self-trust is established. When learning becomes a habit, capability replaces doubt. When responsibility is embraced, personal power is restored. When courage guides behavior, fear loses control. And when the mind is nourished by positive influences, confidence is protected and sustained. The most powerful form of confidence does not rely on approval, comparison, or perfect conditions. It is grounded in experience, strengthened by effort, and maintained by intention. This confidence remains steady because it is earned, not imagined. In the end, unstoppable confidence is not about becoming someone else. It is about becoming more fully yourself capable, prepared, and willing to move forward, regardless of uncertainty. When you commit to consistent growth and conscious living, confidence becomes the natural result of who you are becoming, and it carries you forward with clarity, calmness, and purpose.